Hello, Rajamouli garu. Great to have you at Galatta Plus. I want to transport you back to student number one and just ask you at that point, did you ever imagine that you would be this Rajamouli garu sitting in front of me with these posters all around us, with these banners or whatever all around us?
No, obviously not exactly in the same place,
Right.
but somehow from right from my very childhood, I had this confidence that I will make big. I never thought how I will become big
Right.
or how I will achieve that. I was naive as a young kid. You are naive, but through my adolescence, through my early days of becoming a director, I always believed that I will make larger than life films.
Right.
Successful larger life than films. I don't know that I had that confidence all through my life. I don't know how it came, but
That's amazing.
Luckily the nature, I think, had
right, because most people in the film industry say that this is one of the most insecure industries because you're always worried whether an idea will work or not work, or whether your film will succeed or not, or if you're a first time director, will I get a second film? But you seem to have like had some.
No, I would say I had those fears. I'm not saying I don't have any fears. Even today, I have fears. So if you ask me like how RRR is going to do, I don't know. I have a confidence that's because I have followed the all due proper processes. I had all the emotions while making the story, while doing it. Everything is falling into place. I have the confidence it will do well. But for sure, I can't say that. So those fears are always with me, but that's a separate channel. And the confidence that I'll make big successful films is also there. Both go
Hand in hand.
not hand in, so intertwined with each other.
Wow, that's amazing. What is the film that satisfied you the most? In the sense that, what is the film that came closest to the vision that you had inside your head?
In a way, it's Ega.
Okay.
In a way, it's Bahubali.
Both paths?
Yeah, both parts. But there are many dissatisfactions with those films also.
Sure.
In a completely different way, it is RRR. I think with RRR, I achieved more in terms of extracting the artist's performances to the right amount. Artist's performance, I always feel, is not doing the maximum. It is doing the right amount. A little bit more is overperforming, a little bit less is underperforming. So it is always trying to get the right amount. I think compared to all my other films, if you just take performances, I think RRR is more close to perfection.
Right.
I'm more satisfied in that way.
Right.
So in each film, it is different.
Yeah. After Magadira became such a big hit, everybody was lining up at your door, all these big stars, but you went with Sunil and you made Maryada Ramana.
Yeah.
You saw something in him and said, this person suits my thing. So in that way, what did Ram Charan and Tarak NTR Jr., what was that quality that you saw in them, apart from the fact that they're stars, what is it that made you feel that these two were the absolute right people for these two roles?
How a filmmaker comes to a conclusion that this is the idea or storyline or story that I'm going to go ahead and make the film with it. Film is very difficult to say when it actually happens. Ideas as filmmakers, numerous ideas keeps running in our brains for quite some time. New ideas will be coming and joining them. We travel with an idea for some time, revel in it, and drop it and go to other one. That thing happens. In that way, having a multi-starrer was in my mind for a long time.
Right.
Not just a multi-starrer, but two big heroes becoming friends or enemies or fighting against each other. That gave me a lot of exuberance or a kick as a storyteller. I remember as back as like when I'm reading Amar Chitrakathas, I'll read about Rama, Hanuman, Lavkusha or something. Then I'll be reading something about Arjuna, Karna or something. And suddenly some thought will come, why can't we mix
Yeah.
Hanuman and Karna and have something, some camaraderie between them? No? And I used to imagine, think for myself, and not as a story or anything. No, just some scene that, oh, both of them are sitting in a boat or some those kind of imaginations I used to just think and revel. Then we had this uh, spy thrillers, takeoffs of James Bond in Telugu language, you know. So there will be different writers who are writing their own James Bonds. I want to bring these two guys and putting them into one story together, how they combinedly achieve something. So that gave me a lot of excitement. So that slowly transferred into a multi-starrer after I became a director.
Yeah.
So that thing was going on my mind for some time, and I know Tarak, I know Charan, I worked with him,
Right.
with both of them, and at some point of time, no, it struck me like, okay, these two guys can, you know, they are real life friends. They don't have that insecurities of each other's space on screen, and both of them have regard on me, and they have respect on me, belief in my ability to be a good storyteller, to balance the stardom or their acting abilities and everything. Both of them had that. So I thought something is happening here, and then struck upon the idea of a fictional story about two
Yeah.
freedom fighters. And the actual answer to your question, what made me choose this particular guy for this role, this particular guy this for role, is the innocence of Bhim's character,
Right.
the inability of containing his emotions. Now is what Tarak is, no, who perfectly suits Bhim character, and the quite opposite is Charan. He can take a whiplash and not show the pain, or just sthita prajnata is what they call call it. You know,
Yeah.
ability to not emote, not
Right.
take even the praise or the pain.
Yeah.
That is what Charan is in his real life, and also the character of Ram. So there are too many things pointing in that direction of making a story with them.
So that just came together.
Yes.
Yeah. My favorite film of yours is Eager.
Yep.
I just adore that film. I was just so shocked that somebody could pull this off and make this so successfully with such an emotional undertow, you know, like a movie about a fly. This is an idea that could have just gone wrong, you know. It's of course it succeeded and it did well and all that kind of stuff. There is no hero. There's a villain who's being troubled by a fly. Had the writing not been perfect, you know, it could have easily become a kind of a thing. How much do you think about the audience when you write a story, any story?
I'll answer that in two parts. How many films in an year come out with run-on-the-mill stories or standard formulas?
Yeah.
99%, right? But the success rate is only 5%. So whether you take a run-on-the-mill story or you take a extremely diverse, unique story, the chance of success and failure is the same. That's not going to change. That is evident before our own eyes. It's been happening for the past 75 years.
Yeah.
Right? It is there. So taking a unique, different story is not going to make it any more risky than making a run-on-the-mill story. So what connects to the audience is the emotion, not a different story or not a standard story.
Right.
But the thing is, when you take a different story, not an irregular story, you have to work extra hard, because the tolerance level of the audiences, surprisingly, is less for a different story.
Right.
Is more for a run-of-the-mill story. They'll accept many mistakes in the run-of-the-mill stories because they have been used to seeing those mistakes. So they'll say, okay, fine, that's okay, that's okay.
Song in the wrong place.
Are you giving me a good laugh? Are you giving me a good emotion? Are you giving me 3 or 4 good scenes? I'm happy with it. So when you take a different story, so probably they're thinking, okay, there's a different story, let me pay some attention. And you are not rewarding their attention, they get offended. So the same scene, the same kind of tolerance won't be for an irregular story, you have to be extra careful.
Right.
But the chance of success is the same.
Right.
So that's got nothing to do with it. And second part, whether I think of the audience or not, I don't think of the audience when I'm actually making the story.
When you're writing.
When I'm writing the story. When I'm writing the story, it's only my excitement that I'm looking at. No, once the scene is made or the story is made, then when I relive it, when I tell my family members or my technicians, that's the time I'll be thinking about the audience, like how are they going to react to it. But in the making of the story, I think only about my excitement, not the audience excitement.
Let's talk about the title of RRR. What made you finally say this is going to work? Is it just because it can be said anywhere? So you just changed the what the R stood for in each language. It was as simple as that.
As simple as see when we three of us decided to make a movie, we need to give it something for a reference. People can't, whether it's a media or we or in between the team, we can't always start saying, okay, in the movie where Tarak and Charan are acting and Rajamouli is directing, they can't refer to the movie like that. There has to be some kind of simple this thing.
Right.
So for that we put that hashtag RRR. For the reference sake, our idea was not to name it. But within days, people have decided that that's the title. The fans, the audiences, the media, everyone started referring it as RRR as if it's the title. Then we thought, okay, maybe if they're thinking, obviously we can't go name it Ramara, Rajamouli, Ramcharan. We can't name the movie like that. So we came up with the small subheadings.
Did you have a working title?
That's what the idea was. It was a working title.
No. RRR was the work. No, as in when you were writing a draft.
Even before that.
Okay.
Even before that, when I was telling when the thought of okay, let's have a multi-star, a friendship between the stars. When the idea started itself, I sounded it to them. At the time, the story was a little bit different, a different story. Then itself, we thought it's RRR.
You say your father is a very fast writer, but there is so much of more than physiological research. There is so much of emotional detail. Like for example, one of the simplest things that I go back to is, I'm sorry for boring you with ego.
No, not at all. It's like it's a compliment.
Because it's like the way the fly convinces Samantha that with the sugar, this is thing that really brought tears to my eyes because it was such a touching scene. It's not easy to come to that scene, right? Because it's like, how many, you could have imagined 100 different ways in which the Samantha's convinced, but that one way works. So how long do your screenplays take to write?
Usually we come up with the storyline quite fast, or the plot points or something. I mean, it will vary from film to film, but I would say about 4 to 5 weeks to come up with the storyline. And the detailing might take like 5-6 months, the detailing out of each scene and everything might take.
So about 7 to 8 months.
7 to 8 months. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So even RRR took about that much?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How does the Telugu film industry end up making the best masala movies in India? What is that? I mean, it's a great genre. We've enjoyed so many of the Amitabh movies or the Rajinikanth movies or whatever it is. But in Telugu, there is a consistent, like you see Ala Vaikuntha Prabhulo, something like that. There is such a joy in that. They revel in that masala flavor, How is it that happens so frequently in the Telugu film industry?
And I say, I can't give an expert opinion because I am not an expert in that, but I can just tell you what I think, how I think it happens. I might be right, I might be wrong. And for that kind of things to happen, I don't think it is one reason. There will be multiple reasons. But the main reason I would say is, what is a masala movie?
Yeah.
It is
full
catering to different tastes. But if you try to keep one song for masses, if you try to one scene for ladies, if you try to keep one song for action sequence for kids, there is every danger of it becoming a kichdi. No, everything, not kichdi, kudti. We call in Telugu what we give for buffaloes. No, we pour everything into one thing. So there is an art to it. How to mix all kinds of things, but still make them make one dish.
Right.
One kind of dish. I think the credit we have to give the audience, the credit, the Telugu audiences. They accept Telugu movies, they accept dubbed Tamil movies, they accept dubbed Kannada films, they accept dubbed Malayalam films, they accept dubbed English films, and also there was a time when they were accepting dubbed Hindi films. So the Telugu audiences have been constantly receiving all kinds of films. So their tastes broadened, their views broadened, their acceptance level is high. So when the acceptance level is high, obviously the filmmakers also start making movies with varied masala tastes.
Right.
I won't say varied movies, but varied masala tastes in different combinations. And the filmmakers also learned to do that.
Yeah.
The audience are the same across the world or across the country. The taste is the same.
Yeah.
It's just that the Telugu audiences were more
And you
acceptable in
proved
the
it.
beginning.
Yeah.
We had the chance of making different masala movies. So the filmmakers become experts on that. This is just my take on
No,
it.
it makes
I
sense
don't
because
know.
see, ultimately, you know, the audience plays a part in all this. I asked your actors the same question. You worked with Ram Charan in Magadira. You worked with Junior NTR and from Student Number One
Yeah.
in other movies, Yamadonga and all that. How have they changed? I asked them how you have changed. They gave a very
Okay,
interesting
I'll watch
answer.
your interview and see what they talked about me.
No, I want you to know how they have changed. Obviously, they become more confident and better actors, but that's
More
the obvious
mature,
thing.
more
yeah,
mature,
Yeah, but
more,
anything that struck you that wow, I never thought this person could do this, or you know that.
For me, Tarak is, I call him like a supercomputer. You know, he takes in every bit of information. He just dumps it into his brain. You might not remember what he wore in your interview, but he remembers your shirt, your pant, your shoes, your glasses, how you smiled, how you put your hands, how you are looking at the phone, with which finger you swipe. No, believe me, he absorbs each and everything. He will remember the carpet, he will remember everything. The nature has given him that ability of absorbing every detail of information, and he developed his ability of able to transfer it into his acting. But for me, I worked with him so much, I adored him so much, observed him so much. I know everything about him, about his acting. I mean to say, when I give him a line or I tell him this is the action piece that you have to do, I know exactly what he will do.
Right.
I know how many steps he will take. I know where he's going to give a pause. I know where he's going to turn. I know everything. that is the kind of equation that I have with him. So he can very rarely surprise me. I think, okay, this is what I have written for Tarak, and I get exactly
100% that.
no deviation from that. I get absolutely the same. As a director, what more can I want? I'm so happy with it. While doing Magadira, Charan was a bundle of talent, but still very
Raw.
inexperienced,
Yeah.
very raw. I was spellbound when I watched him Rangasthalam.
Yeah.
The level of performance he did was outstanding. So I was very surprised, happily surprised. I wondered how he suddenly transformed into such a fine actor. And when I started working with him in RRR, I realized, which was very eye-opener to me. I read so many times that when you approach a job, that you have to keep your mind uncluttered, mind free, and approach with a calm mind and do your job. That's what they teach us in meditation. And this guy who doesn't do any kind of meditation, he doesn't know anything about yoga or anything, he comes to the set with completely uncluttered mind. He knows the story, he knows what needs to be done, but he comes with like a clean white canvas and says, "I'm yours. Paint on me whatever you want."
Yeah.
And that was, in my 20 years of experience, I have never worked with an actor who who came with such an attitude onto the sets, and he was surprising me many times. With Tarak, it's a different kind of
because
experience.
you're used to him.
Yeah, I know what he does, and here Charan comes with this kind of approach, and there are many times he surprises me. Sometimes, of course, because he's doing that, he does something else. Then I'll say, no, this is not what I want. This is what I want. He does that, but there are many times where he like, oh, I didn't imagine this. He can give me more than what I expected.
Right.
So it was a beautiful experience with both of them.
So when you're making a pan-Indian film, where, when you cast people like Alia Bhatt or Ajay Devgan, is it also with an eye on, obviously they have to fit the story,
Yeah.
but is it also the extra thing that they might make it a
bring in
little more
extra.
familiar?
Yeah. See, the commercial aspect will be there.
Right.
You can't completely separate them. The art and commerce, you can't completely separate them. That will be there. But you have to be very careful in not letting the commerce, take over the art. It is always the art which leads, and hand in hand with commerce. So of course the commercial aspects of Ajay sir or Alia to appeal more for the North Indian audience is there, but only because they satisfied my creative artistic need,
Right.
that I approached them. So the commercial aspect is an additional bonus.
You said that Ram Charan's introduction sequence in RRR is one of the best things you've ever done. Now, while making a film, you have like seen it 250, 300 times, each frame, each 500 times, whatever. How do you get the objectivity to stand back and say, this is one of the best things I've ever done? I mean, I can understand older films where you have a distance from it, right? This is a film you're making. How I was just surprised by that statement, and I was wondering how you.
No, when I said that, it didn't actually imply the final output. Of course, the final output is absolutely mind-boggling. Shooting part of it, when you are actually seeing that in front of your eyes, those 1,000 people, ganging up on that one guy, and
don't spoil it for us. But
I'm not spoiling it for you. When I say action, you see Charan, you see those 1,000 people, and when I say action, 1, 2, 3, you don't see anyone. It is dust rising, and he's somewhere in between. The cameras are there to capture him, but it is like heart-stopping for a moment, and after I say cut, it will take at least 10-15 seconds for the dust to settle down and see that he is out of it unscathed. That is because the practice of that sequence has happened for like 3-4 months.
Right.
The stunt choreographer Salman has practiced it with his, he had his 40-50 fighters, then we had gym boys who around that, who practice, about 150 of them, who practice their moves, and we have the second range of gym boys who are about 300 people around them, doing a completely chaotic sequence in very well choreographed manner.
Lovely.
That is like a very big exciting thing for me. Scary, but exciting. And at the end of it, like 15-16 days, there was not even a single injury.
Right.
In that sequence. You wouldn't believe when you see it on the screen that if I say there is not an injury. I mean, there were some scratches or something like that, but no injury.
Nothing. When a project is taking so long, and in the middle you have the pandemic and all these kinds of things, how do you keep your interest in the project?
Pandemic aside, what actually keeps me going, apart from many things, the main important thing is that the fear. Fear that, am I doing it right? Am I giving it my 100%? Am I achieving exactly how I imagined it to be? If it is not reaching where I imagined it to be, I get very jittery. I feel like as if I'm doing a crime. I can't sleep. I have to get it right. It's almost like a compulsion that drives me. So fear drives me to stay focused,
right,
to achieve what I intend to achieve. Pandemic is an additional thing, and pandemic didn't cause me any extra anxiety because it is the same for everyone across the world.
Right.
I am not different.
Right.
And also, like I told, like in your earlier question, that is not something in my hands.
Yeah.
So if there is nothing in my hands, I won't worry about it.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when you start a movie, you have this excitement,
Yeah.
this whole thing, and
Yeah.
that's all happening.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, you know,
Yeah.
there's a halt,
Yeah.
right? And then you start again, and then you have to be in that same mental zone again. Is that easy for you to get back there?
I'm always in that zone.
Oh, okay.
So,
So you're
No,
never
no, absolutely
like,
no
yeah. So
problem
it's
at
not
all.
like the pandemic slowed you down or
No,
something
no.
like that. Okay. Okay.
Only thing that the break and restart is a problem for me is the interviews. You know, before when we thought it was Jan 7th and the kind of publicity blitzkrieg that that we went on, it was like going on and on and on. We were doing everything and we postponed it to 25 because of the pandemic. And again we have to restart. It took me a little bit time to get
Right.
into that zone. For filmmaking, it was like fish into water for me.
You think like really big. For example, one of my favorite early sequences in your films is in Simhadri, when there is this fight in the river, and of course your favorite hero is there, and you think he's protecting the heroine. I think we can spoil it now. The film is old
Of
enough.
course.
Yeah, so it's like
Of
so.
course.
I don't think. So you think that you know the hero is there fighting these people because she's also shouting
Yeah.
his name and all
Yeah,
that and
yeah.
all that. But then suddenly she takes that
Yeah.
iron rod or whatever it is and
Yeah.
she stabs him.
Yeah.
And then you go for a like a crane shot. I don't know how it,
Yeah.
in those days
Yeah.
what are you doing or whatever it is. So you think like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like what a fantastic interval moment because now the audience has to come back to see
Yeah.
what happened now.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
know what really happened. That they just have to come back, right? Now, when somebody thinks like this, is the same person capable of also doing like a Pelli Chuplu or a Care of Kanchirapalam, or would you rather say, let others do that, I'll do this?
See, there are certain kind of films that I make. There are certain kind of films that I want to make. There are certain kind of films maybe I want to try, give it a try. And there are certain kind of films which I don't want to make at all. And there will be many kinds of films which fall in between these categories. A simple, light-hearted, romantic comedy, I would really love to make. Like Pelli Chuplu, I am not averse to the idea. The closest I can say is Maryada Ramana to
Right.
not making a big film. But because of my that penchant for bigness, scenes like the buses and laris going up, you know, even in Maryada Ramana,
Yeah.
they creep in. So I'm not averse to making small films, small ideas and all that. I don't know whether I can make a Pelli Chupulu or not, but I'd love to try. I love Care of Kanchirapalam, but I know I can't make it.
Why is that?
See, my sense of drama, of creating drama,
Is different.
Is different.
Okay.
That is, Kanchirapalam is different. I enjoy Kanchirapalam, but I know I can't make it. Maybe if I give it a little bit try, I can make a horror film, but I won't make it because I hate horror films.
Now, this is a bit of an existential question. The success that you've achieved is mind-boggling. Do you ever think that there are people who are waiting for you to fail?
There will be people. I mean, now I stopped checking my my social media accounts, but until 5-6 years back, I was actively checking my accounts, reading the comments, and I mean there will be negative comments, there will be positive comments, there will be abuses. All those are fine. I can understand that, but there will be comments where they will say, "This film will fail." Why? Why? Is there? I mean, is there something about it that I revealed which you feel will fail, or something that not feels right about it? I understand that. No, just that because there are string of success, this will fail. So I think that kind of human mentality exists. No, if a bunch of successes come, then they will think they want to see that project or that guy fail. But if you think of it, the opposite also true. If you see, if someone sees a guy who is completely continuously failing, the same guy will say, now this time he will succeed.
Right.
I think it's just a human mentality rather than kind of enmity or negativity or something. It's just a human mentality, I think.
Right, right. Given that this is about real life characters, do you anticipate any controversies? I know you've said this is fictional.
Yeah.
I know that because you already got into a bit of a controversy with that Islamic look and all that, and you had to explain it and all that kind of stuff. Do you think you?
Any big film will have a bit of controversy. Some people just like to be in the news creating a controversy. There will be some people who get genuinely affected by a film or a sequence or something, and there will be some people who misunderstand the context and get offended. And there will be some people who don't understand the creative liberty a storyteller can take by law and say that. Me, I am a very non-controversial person. I try to stay away from controversies, and I'm a kind of person who respects others' feelings
Right.
in general. That doesn't mean I let go of my creative liberties just not to offend anyone, kind of thing. But the way we made RRR, there's nothing to be offended about anything.
Right.
It's a completely fictional story, and I have a great respect for our freedom fighters. I value the liberty that we achieved about from their sacrificing their lives. I have great respect, great humility caused by their greatness. No way I'm going to show them in bad light.
Bad light.
It's impossible. I can't. Even if I want to, I can't.
Right, but I think controversies happen not because you're being saved, but more because other people,
Yeah.
interpret it or
Yeah.
do things like that. That's
So I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't talk about the people who want to get offended, but people who think I'm doing something wrong, the moment they see the film, I think
right.
their fears will be quelled.
Okay. And before I let you go, when RRR opens, you said you don't read reviews anymore.
Yeah, I
So,
don't
are you going to be tracking the box office, or are you just going to go off on a long holiday and shut your ears?
Obviously, we'll be tracking the box office because so much of money has been invested. The usual thing of tracking the box office will be like until we got our money back, until everyone who invested the money inside, until they got it back, we track them very carefully. Once that is done, well, okay, just give me the highlights, not the details, and we go off on a holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you come back for your next film.
Yeah, I mean, not immediately, but slowly I get into it.
So which means you don't have an idea brewing in you yet.
I have a couple of ideas because see, this time it was different. The film is done and the film is, the release is postponed. We had nothing to do, nothing else to do. So we are just bouncing off some ideas. We have few ideas, but nothing is concrete as of now.
Just one question, is it a big idea or a small idea?
It's a big idea.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rajamouli.
Thank
It was
you.
a complete
Thank you.
pleasure talking to you.